First, let's start off with some keys to victory for both teams in this ball game. Looking at the Miami Dolphins, if I were them, I would utilize the pass to set up the run. I think they operate better out of a spread set, going no huddle, up tempo, pushing the pace, and they can utilize that to set up their running game, which is struggling right now. I think that's how they can have some success against this Bengals front seven. And second, I look at this defensive line of Miami against the offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this is an advantage that the Dolphins have in their favor. When you look at the way they can apply pressure, they can push the pocket, they can also get pressure off the edge, and they're facing a Bengals offensive line that's struggling right now to blow guys off the ball and protect Andy Dalton. So I would look at more stunts up front, whether it's T&E games or different twists up front to try to confuse that offensive line so that way they can apply pressure. And finally, it's about alignment, assignment, and execution. Too often last week we saw the Dolphins out of position, blowing assignments and not executing properly, and that was on both sides of the ball, which is why they had to go into overtime to knock off the Browns. That can't happen in this ball game on Thursday night, short week against Cincinnati. And for the Bengals in this ball game, I would go with more of an east-west game. A lot of outside zone, a lot of quick plays to the outside to the receivers and have those guys make one miss, a lot of toss plays, a lot of movement plays, misdirection. I think that's how they can have some success offensively when you're having struggles up front from your interior, your guard, center guard. That's the best way to have these guys have success or help these guys have success is by making it an east-west game. That way you also calm that pressure that's going to come downhill from the Dolphins defensive line. And I would also overload pressure to either side. I think Ryan Tannehill doesn't do a good job versus overload pressure, whether that's front side pressure or backside pressure. Overload pressure, I think, can help them have success defensively against this Dolphins offensive attack. And the Bengals have to clean up the sloppy play. I think that's what cost them the game last week versus the Denver Broncos. You look at guys missing blocks that could have sprung long runs. You also look at blown assignments defensively, the fumble by Tyler Boyd. Just a lot of sloppy play across the board versus a team that they had a chance to knock off. So again, cleaning up the sloppy play could help them come away victorious on Thursday night. Taking a look at the Miami Dolphins on film, you already see the impact that both Adam Gase and Vance Joseph are having on this football team. This was an excellent way to attack a single high safety with dual posts. Now, normally, you'll see this type of play done with dual slants, but if you can get the time, posts work just fine. The safety to the field side is supposed to either split the two receivers or stay in good enough position to be able to make a play on the furthest receiver, which we'll call number one. But what Gase does is send the slot guy on a bang 8 across the face of the safety and a deep post right behind him. It's a 2-on-1 type situation, so any choice he would have made would have been the wrong one because he didn't get any depth to force Ryan Tannehill to make his move first or hold the football long enough to where the pass rush can get to him. He squeezes the bang 8, and Tannehill makes a beautiful throw behind him for the touchdown. And I love what I see on film from Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator. He's a guy that believes in pressure, and you want to pressure the offense into making unwanted decisions. And you see right here in a crucial situation in overtime, he's pressing up on all of the wide receivers, which will force Cody Kessler, a rookie quarterback, to hold the football just a little bit too long to where that Dolphins pass rush could get back there and get him on the ground. So again, when you look at Adam Gase on the offensive side and Vance Joseph on the defensive side, you can see these two guys are having positive impacts on this football team. Opening up the Bengals film, you'll see on this one series why the Bengals are having issues running the football. First play, keep an eye on the interior offensive line. They don't get pushed off the ball, which allows the Broncos to create a mosh pit in the A and B gaps, and a running back has nowhere to go. On the second play, you'll see some good athleticism here with both backside guard and tackle getting out and around, leading Gio Bernard. And as a running back, when you see this, you're already thinking about what dance you're going to do in the end zone because this was supposed to be a house call, but guys can't sustain blocks or finish them, and they only net 4 yards. And play number 3, another opportunity for a big gain if guys were to make and finish blocks. Straight ISO here, and the fullback whiffs on his lead block, which allows his guy the opportunity to make the tackle. So again, like I mentioned in the keys to victory, the Bengals have to clean up the sloppy play, especially in the run blocking department, if they want to knock off Miami. I believe the biggest X factor in this game for the Miami Dolphins is an obvious one, their defensive line. If they can wreak havoc up front like they did in the passing game versus the passing game of the Cleveland Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals squad, I think they can have a ton of success. Again, the Bengals are struggling from guard, center, guard. If they can't keep Ndamukong Suh and company out of that backfield, it'll be a long day. And for the Bengals, I think the secondary will be the biggest X factor in how well they're able to match up versus, quite honestly, one of the best receiving cores in the AFC. The Dolphins' quartet of receivers put a ton of strain on your secondary, and the Bengals are already thin back there on the back end. If they can't match up, Ryan Tannehill should have a field day throwing the football vertically down the field. I like the Bengals in this ball game. I think we'll see Cincinnati get back to basics and run the football downhill. They'll run the football east and west. You'll see them slowly start to pull the ball away from Andy Dalton and put it in the belly of Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill. And I think that's one way they can help neutralize the pressure that they're going to see up front from the Miami Dolphins and not put Dalton consistently in harm's way with that pass rush. So I think the Bengals running game will be the reason why they knock off Miami on Thursday night.